Nine of Wands. The majority of the Wands suits are basically very positive cards. However, as you move towards the highest cards in the suit, more complexity and difficulty can be indicated. The Nine of Wands is where some would say this begins. This card can indicate anxiety and worry, being burdened and keyed up over concerns. General, when the Nine of Wands comes up, the first and best step is often to take a deep breath and calm down. Don't let the things you are worried about overwhelm you. Take it one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, if you must. At least some of your worries will very likely turn out to be imaginary. Get very specific on what you are afraid of and pick it apart. What is the true likelihood of the worry actually happening? Comfort yourself, and if you need help, don't hesitate to ask for it. Asking for help is the mark of a strong person. Work. Things may be tense at work. Try not to contribute to the tension. Think before you speak. Be calm and unruffled as possible on the surface, at least. Get clear about the things you can and cannot control and try to give very little mind space to the latter. Do your best with the former, and things will very likely be well. If you're wondering if your job may be eliminated, unfortunately, when this card appears, the answer can be yes. Forewarned is forearmed. If that happens, what will you do about it? Love. In the context of love, it's important to remember that no relationship, and nothing on earth, in fact, can stand up to constant dissection. Try to give your beloved some breathing space. If you are uncommitted, and longing for love, understand that the time may simply not yet be right for you. Are there things about yourself that you would like to change? This is a good time to get yourself whole emotionally, so that when you are ready for a new relationship, that the person that you attract into your life is also whole. Don't be in too much of a hurry. Finances. In terms of finances, worrying will not keep the wolves from the door. Try to stay calm and methodically pick through your situation and potential courses of action. Take small steps. Look at ways that you might increase your income, even if it's only a little. Health, worry, stress, and anxiety is very likely to be affecting your life now. Be sure that you are treating yourself as well as you can, balance in exercise, food and water intake, and getting adequate rest. Breathing exercises and meditation are particularly useful for you now. If you are waiting on test results, try not to worry too much, and remember that there's only so much you can do. Focus on the positive. Write down things that you are grateful for. Surround yourself with positive people. You will soon have the answers that you seek. Spirituality. You may not be very inclined to discipline yourself now, but even so, now is a time that discipline will help you meet your spiritual goals. Focus, plan, call yourself to higher levels of spiritual study and commitment. You have the strength within you to get where you want to be. Tarot history. The history of the tarot is shrouded in mystery. Very little in the way of concrete information is known about its origin, although many things have been written about it. We will probably never know the truth, as fact and fiction seem to be irrevocably mixed nowadays. The tarot originated in northern Italy in the early 15th century, sometime between 1420 to 1440. Despite the fact that it is often attributed to originating from China, Egypt, India, or Morocco to name just a few, there is absolutely no evidence that this is the case. Nor, as is often quoted, is there any evidence whatsoever that the tarot was brought to Europe by the Romanis. The name tarot is often attributed to being Egyptian, Hebrew, or Latin. This is not the case. The earliest names are all Italian in origin. The cards were originally called carte de triomphe. Around 1530 the word tarocchi began to be used to differentiate them from a new game of triumphs that was in vogue at the time. The etymology of this new word is unknown. The German variant was known as tarot and the French tarot. The symbolism for the tarot is drawn from the culture of medieval and Renaissance Europe. The tarot subjects are distinctive to European Christendom. The symbolism does not come from Egypt or any of the other exotic locales often mentioned. It is often stated that modern-day playing cards evolved from the tarot. This is not the case. Modern-day playing cards came to Europe courtesy of Islam. They were an adaptation of the Islamic Mamluk cards. They appeared quite suddenly in many different European cities between 1375 and 1378. These early cards had suits of cups, swords, coins, and polo sticks, and courts consisting of a king and two male underlings. The tarot adds the Fool, the trumps, and a set of queens to this system. Sometime before 1480, the French introduced cards with the now familiar suits of hearts, clubs, spades, and diamonds. The Joker is not original to either the early form of modern-day cards, or to the tarot, but instead originated in the USA around 1857 and was used as a wild card in poker as well as the highest trump in euchre. It is also often stated that the Catholic and Protestant churches outlawed the tarot and all who used it in an effort to stamp out so-called heretical teachings. This is not the case. The Inquisition documented what the Church considered as evidence of heresy in great detail. The tarot was not even mentioned. After the Reformation, less controversial images for the Pope and Papess were substituted by card makers as the Church had objected to the original images. It is often said that the tarot was not used as a divination tool prior to 1781. The tarot was used as early as the 16th century to compose poems describing personality characteristics. There is historical evidence that in one case at least these verses were presented as relating to the person's fate. In other words, divination. Divinatory meanings were assigned to the tarot in Bologna in the early 1700s, and this is the first unambiguous evidence of tarot divination. Ordinary playing cards were connected with divination as early as 1487. It is not unreasonable to think that the tarot was also. The tarot has often been attributed with being a pillar of Western esoterica occultism. This is certainly not the case. The first occult writers to discuss the tarot were Court de Gabellin and the Comte de Melot in 1781. The tarot was not mentioned in any occult work for the first 350 years of its existence. The terms Major Arcana, Minor Arcana, High Priestess, and Hierophant are anachronistic when referring to the older tarot decks. The historically appropriate terms are the Trumps and the Fool, the suit cards, Papess or Popess, and Pope. Likewise, Pentacles and Wands are relatively recent substitutions for the traditional suit names of coins and staves or batons. The original Italian titles of the cards were in some cases different from the later French titles that have become familiar to us through the Tarot de Marseille and its descendants. Also, the ordering of the trumps varied considerably in Italy where the cards originated. It is not known which ordering is the earliest one. Even the number of cards in the deck varied a great deal. So care should be used in making statements about the original meaning of the cards based on the familiar titles and ordering. Many believe that the Waite-Smith Tarot is the original, standard, or most authentic tarot deck in existence. This is absolutely untrue. The Waite-Smith/Rider-Waite deck was created in 1909. Not even 100 years ago, making it a relative newcomer in the almost 600-year history of the tarot. There is actually no definitive version of the tarot.